Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus. It's been a while since I released a video, and this is one which I've really wanted to do for quite some time now. It's all about OneNote and more particularly OneNote Class Notebook. But it really doesn't matter if it's a class notebook or just a OneNote. Really, the features that are available are really the same, apart from the fact in the class notebook you have your students' personal areas there as well. Now, the reason I'm creating this video, I've got other videos about OneNote, is mainly to look at some of the latest features to give you educators some quick tips and tricks in using OneNote to make your OneNotes more friendly, easier and accessible to your students, easier for them to read material and access material, but also so that we can talk a little bit about the different versions of OneNote and OneNote Class Notebook, because there have been so many versions and so many different complications with what you can do in one version, what you can't do in another version. So the first thing I'm going to do is just talk to you just a little bit about the versions. Now, before we used to have versions like OneNote 2016, OneNote for Windows 10, the Windows application now, the OneNote Online. So all of these versions have different advantages and disadvantages, but it's all going to come down essentially now to one application, the OneNote application, not the Windows 10 application. I'll show you that one here very quickly. So if I open up here and I just type in OneNote, you're looking for this thing here, OneNote App. Now, the only version that's going to be supported from now on, or essentially at some point in time, is only going to be the OneNote app. And what Microsoft has done is they've incorporated all the advantages of the different versions and brought them into one version. So if you're using a different version, like Windows 10 version of OneNote, you really want to switch over slowly to the the OneNote app version. Now, because this is going to be a long tutorial, in the discussion, well, sorry, in the comment section at the bottom, I've got the timestamps there so you can jump to sections of interest. Okay, so I think the first thing that we need to do is to learn how we can create a OneNote class notebook, and that's our first step. So let's begin. Now, the original way of creating a class notebook was essentially signing into your 365 portal, going to the All Apps area, and you should find here something called Class Notebook. Now, if I click on this, I'm able to create a class notebook from here. I'm not going to complete the whole process, but here you would give it a name. I'll just call it my class. Go to next. You will then just get some information about about the different sections that are going to be created, like collaboration, content, teacher only, students, notebooks. We're going to discuss this in a minute. Then you're able to go and add your co-teachers. So you've got other teachers that are going to be teaching this subject and you want them to have access to the OneNote as well, the class notebook. Then you can add your students. You have to add your students in essentially all of them one by one, unless you've got your 365 or you want to link up with some kind of LMS. And then you're going to go to the design private spaces. Here you're shown basically the different sections which are going to be created for every single student under their own personal section. We're going to see this. If you want to remove a section, you want to add a section, you can do that from there. Here you would preview your OneNote and that's it. You will be done. I'm not going to create this one though. Personally, I think the way forward now to be creating a OneNote class notebook will essentially be to use Microsoft Teams, because Microsoft Teams will generate the class notebook for you when you create a class team automatically. So you don't have to create a team and the class notebook and add the students in two separate apps like Teams and OneNote, and then try and incorporate the two together. So if you've got Microsoft Teams, I'll bring this in now. And if I scroll down to what I'm going to do, join or create a team down here, then I can simply create a team and make sure you're going to create a class team. And when you select this, you're asked to give the name of the team. And then essentially you're going to be asked, I'm just going to call this my class again. And then you'll go to next. And it will basically ask you to add the students, which are going to be members of this team, and add the teachers. It's also going to, let's just complete this a little bit more. So here I go. It's actually creating the team now. But anyway, you can add your students here, add your teachers here. And then when you're done, if I skip this section, that's it. It's generated my class. Here it is down here at the bottom. And up here, you've got your class notebook. Now, the first time you open this, it's going to generate the class notebook and add all your students automatically. I don't have any students in this team yet. So when I click on this, it's just going to say set up OneNote Class Notebook, and it will set it up just like it would have set it up if you use the Class Notebook application. So what's the advantage? Well, the advantage is that you only need to add the students in once. You have everything in one place. It's generated for Microsoft Teams, so it's going to be able to integrate things like assignments very easily, because each class team has its own OneNote notebook, class notebook, and you're able to add things and distribute files directly to the students' personal spaces in OneNote directly from Teams. We're going to have a look at that as well. So I'm going to go jump over here right now to my virtual class team. This is a class team which I've created for this training purpose, let's say. And we can see this is a normal class team. At the top, I've got my class notebook. Now, I want you to notice here in my video, it actually says here teacher view. So in this screen here, we're actually seeing the teacher view. And when I go to this screen over here, when I'm showing something else, so we're looking at the class notebook from the perspective of a student. So you can see here it says student view. Okay, so let's go back to teacher view. So from here, I can access my OneNote class notebook directly. You can see I've got my welcome screen. I've got my different sections here. We're going to discuss these very, very quickly in a second. But working from OneNote within Teams as an educator, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the things that you can do. So we are going to be using the OneNote application. So I'm going to show you how you would open this. So if I jump over very quickly to the student side, we can see the same notebook on this side. So here's the class notebook right here, and we can see the same welcome screen. And if I click on the little library button here, I can see the different sections, and I can only see my one personal folder as a student, so student one. Let's go back to the teacher. So essentially, as an educator, you're not really going to be creating resources directly from the OneNote within Teams. So if you want to synchronize your OneNote to your OneNote application, then the way of doing that, the easiest way of doing that is if I just click in here, if I try from here, open in browser, you can see I've also got the option to open in desktop app. So that's what I'm going to do. And as soon as you click on this, it's going to open up your application. And if it's the first time you're doing this, it's actually going to take a little bit of time to download everything from your class notebook and put it in your application. Now, if you've got two versions of OneNote installed on your computer, for example, Windows 10 class notebook and the OneNote, the Windows 10 OneNote and the OneNote application, then depending on which of those two is the default application on your computer for your Windows, that's the application it's going to open. Personally, what I've done, so I don't get confused, I've uninstalled the Windows 10 OneNote application, and I've only got this application here. So this is essentially my virtual class team. It's open in my OneNote application. And I'm going to show you, first of all, how we can configure, because some of you are probably looking at this and say, well, how comes this guy has got his folders on the left-hand side and mine are on the right? And why does he see this Windows style Explorer version, making it really easy to jump from section to section from here? Well, that's what I'm going to show you next. So configuring your OneNote application interface, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the File section here. I'm going to go to Options at the bottom. And from here, I'm going to go to Display. And here you've got certain things that you can change. For example, I've ticked this one here, Move Page List to the left. So if I remove that tick and click OK, we can see the page list is on this side here. You can also see that my scroll bar here is on the right-hand side as well. This can also be brought to the left. So if I go back to here, File, Options, I'm going to go back to Display. I can move my pages back to the left, but I can also move the vertical scroll bar back to the left. And now I've got my vertical scroll bar here, my folders here. So how do I have my class notebook with all the sections displayed here and also all my other notebooks here really easily accessible? Well, that's this little pin here. So if I click on that, that vanishes and I've got more space on my screen to work with. So I can make this go away and come back wherever I want. So if I want to bring this back, I'm going to click on the arrow here to expand. And if I click on the pin, it will pin or it will dock this Explorer view on the left. And this is a really fantastic view. I do find it a little bit difficult navigating the tabs at the top. and we're going to see this in a second. So if I click on my welcome page, here's my welcome page. That's the welcome tab. And we can see on the left-hand side here, I've got my different sections: collaboration, content library, teacher only, and then the 5 student personal folders. And we can see that on the tabs up here. So collaboration, content library, teacher only, and the 5 students. And if there are more tabs, you get a little drop down list here, which you can click and expand and find the other student files. Now, I prefer this navigation area here because it's really easy to jump around. So if I open the content library here, and then I open this section group here, to go back to the welcome, I need to go back and back. So I have to keep going backwards and forwards. And that's a little bit irritating for me. So this way I can just jump and expand my Explorer view really easily, jump to my different sections, go to the welcome, and it's so much easier to jump around and find the different things that you're looking for. So it's entirely up to you how you do that. Okay, so I'm going to leave this setup here because I do actually prefer this setup, and it's going to be easier for me to be moving around. So what are the different sections that we have? Well, the first section, you normally get a welcome page and you get some default information in there. Well, what I'm going to do, if I go to my welcome page here, in my class notebooks, the first welcome page, I modify it, and essentially I create something like a menu area like this, where students can just come to my class notebook, and the first thing in the welcome page, they get links to all the different sections. Could be chapters, it could be units and the different subunits, and they could just jump to that section quickly without them having to scroll through and look around. Let's have a look at the student area. So if they're in teams and they want to maneuver around in here, then they have to click on this little library button and scroll down and wait for this to open, and then try and figure out where it is that they're going. Let's say they're going into, I don't know, this practical section here. And can you see it's just so much harder to navigate? Whereas from here, if I'm a student, I just want to go to my access checklists, I click on that and it will straight away open that page for me. Okay, so it makes it much easier for students to find things. So it's a good idea to create these little tables with menus. As I said, I'm going to give you the ideas and then I'm going to show you how to do them. The next thing that I normally do is I normally have a checklist of all the things we're going to cover, either in a particular unit, but personally, I put for the entire year, the whole curriculum. And essentially, this is like a running diary for me and my students to be able, as I start ticking these things off. The students, however, they can't modify this. Let's have a look. If I go to the student area now, if a student goes to the welcome section, goes to the checklist, they're not able to modify this list. Now, you can see from my section to here, it hasn't synchronized yet. So if I want to force a synchronize, I'm going to go back to the teachers area, right click on my notebook and say sync this notebook now. And you can see that little circle, the green circle, is actually synchronizing. And then when I come over to the student area, if I go away and come back, so if I go to another section, let's go lesson diary and then come back to the welcome, it should. Let's just do a quick refresh. There you go. It's updated those. So the updating is not real time. It does have a short delay. Okay, so this is really good for the students. They can't modify this, but they know what we've covered. And also for me as an educator, when I go back to my next lesson, let's say the next day or a couple of days from now, I know what I've covered. So much easier to keep track of everything. Okay, back to the educator section. Okay, the other sections that we have is the collaboration section. To be honest, I don't use this section much. This is like a whiteboard in the classroom and everyone has a pen and anybody can write on it. Anybody can put ideas on it. They can use their pens and just write their ideas. It's excellent for brainstorming and just having students coming in to give their ideas on something with without having to speak up, because some people are a little bit concerned when they have to talk. So it's one way. But the other thing is that everybody also has an eraser, so they can rub out anybody else's comments and things like that. So if I was to do a quick synchronize here, I'm just going to sync that one there now. There, and I go over to the student area. Got to keep remembering to keep going backwards and forwards. And this time I'm going to go back to the library. You can see this going backwards and forwards. If I go to the collaboration area here and go into collab, you can see ideas is there. But as a student, I am able to go and delete even what the teacher has written. Okay, and then it's gone for everybody. So this is not an ideal situation. I don't like using the collaboration, but what you can do is use the collaboration during the lesson, get the ideas, and then you as a teacher, and I'm going to show you how in a second when we go to pages, how you can move that page, copy paste it into the content library, and then it's locked. They can't make changes anymore. So that's a really good way of using the collaboration section. Let's go back to the teacher area. Okay, so that's a collaboration section. The content library, this is where you as an educator, you're going to add all of your resources, absolutely everything that you're going to make accessible to your students. Now, you can have sections, which are like folders. And let me just demonstrate this for you very quickly. I like using this method. This is your Windows, this is Windows Explorer. This is my OneDrive, for example, folder. This is the navigator in Explorer. And what we can see on the left-hand side essentially is just folders. If I open this folder, for example, I can't see any files. I only see the folder structure. When I select the folder, I can, however, click on a folder, and on the right-hand side, it shows me the subfolders and any files. The exact same thought process is done here. And this is why I like this navigation area here. That's why I pin it or dock it. So here I can see my folders. I can't see any of the pages, but if I choose a section, for example, lesson diary, I can see the pages which are included inside that section. If I choose this one here, the unique checklists, then I've got these here. And I've also got subfolders. That basically means folders, like this one here, Houston, we have a problem, with subfolders inside. And each of these folders can have files or folders inside. Okay, so we can create new section groups, sections, and pages. Anything which is under the content library section is view only for the students. So let's go to the student area. So if I was to now go to the student area, and I'm going to click on my library button, go to the content library as a student, I can see all of this material that the teacher has given me. This is the lesson diary. I'm going to explain this next. But anything which is in here is read only. They cannot delete, they cannot type, they cannot do anything, but they can copy things. And if they want to take a copy of something, for example, the checklist here, they can right click on this, right click copy, open their personal, so let me just close that, open their personal area down here. Let me close that content library there. And they can choose one of their sections or create a new section in their personal area, let's say class notes, and they can right click and paste. And when they paste that material in their personal section, they are now able to modify it, select the to-do list. They can add new information and do what they like with it because it's their personal copy. So this is a fantastic way to give resources to your students, and your students can actually copy paste things, the things that they want, into their personal area. We're going to look at distributing pages as well, but if they want to copy paste something, that's how they can do it from the content library. So everything from the content library is read only for students. The next part that we're going to have a look at is this teacher only area. Just like any other section, you can put section groups, you can put sections. However, this is invisible to the students. The teacher only area is only available to all the teachers you've allocated to this class notebook. So if I go to the student area now, let's come over here and go to the student area. There we go. And I look at my folders, you can see here, I don't see that teacher only area because it's not visible to the students. So it's really good area for you to be storing things like mark sheets. Maybe you're preparing or setting up a test paper or anything like that. You can keep them stored in the teacher only area. That way you've got everything inside one location without having to go left, right, and center to go and find all your material. So really fantastic little use of the teacher only area. Now, you may want to use the section as well in OneDrive, or you may want to use your folders inside Microsoft Teams. But if you're using Class Notebook and you're adding things like that in there, then it's really useful to have mark sheets inside the teacher only area. Okay, the last section is the student areas here. Now, each student has their own personal space. As a teacher, you can see all of these areas. You've got access to all of the folders. In fact, you can even, let's say you've distributed something, you can even, and you've marked it, let's say to homework, you can actually select something and you can lock or unlock the page. The reason why we would lock pages, and again, we're going to see this a bit later on, will be once you've marked the page and you've given them their grade, you don't want students to go back and just delete all your marking, give themselves 100% and an A+. Okay, so we're able to basically manage the entire folder structure of a student. The student themselves, if we have a look at one of those sections which is locked, so this is the student area. If I go to homework, you can see this is homework that has been marked and returned to the student, or supposedly marked and returned, but it's already been locked. And if I choose this one here, for example, this one has been marked and returned. So if I click on there, and you can see at the top, it says this page is locked and can't be edited no more. So they can't click, they can't type, they can't do anything with this at all. Okay, and basically preserves your marking. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how we can create something like this, like I've got here in the content library. So let's have a look at some of the things that I've done, which are pretty good practices for you to include. So first of all, I've got a lesson diary section. Here I like to keep, it's like a running diary, everything that I'm going to do in the next lesson. Now, basically what that means is students know what we're going to be taught, they're going to be taught in the next lesson, and you will normally find weaker students, some SEND students, which are interested about learning. They're going to go and see what material you're going to be covering the next lesson. They're going to read up on it and just prepare themselves a little bit more. And you're going to find that these students that normally sit in the background really, really quiet, during the lesson are a little bit more active. They participate more because they feel more confident because they've already seen the material that you're teaching them. So it's a fantastic way to basically communicate with your students, to show them what they're going to be doing next, and they're able to go and see the resources that you're giving them in advance of the lesson. And that's a really, really fantastic tool. You're going to see participation increase tremendously from the bottom to the middle section of your class. I've got other things like theory units covered. So I've got my to-do lists here, and these I tick off so students know what it is that we've covered and what we're going to cover next. I keep a running diary of my homework as well, homework that students are going to do. This is quite an old page that I'm using here. You see from 2017 I've been doing this, and so I know it works. And it works really, really well because if I am going to give out homework, they can actually plan ahead. Now, yes, we can do this in Teams, but this is all about Class Notebook. And, you know, just giving the students a little bit more information, you can't go wrong with that. Then I've got other things as well. I've got unit checklists for each unit. I've got different checklists, and students can either copy paste these in their own section. And this does two things. I use it in the content library to see what we've done and what we're going to do next. And I ask my students, I either distribute it to them, which we'll see later on, or they can do a copy paste of it in their own section. And that allows me to go back in the student section for using the review student work tab later, we'll see, to see what students haven't understood. And that helps me to plan my lesson so I cover things that they're a bit weaker on. Video tutorials, I do a lot of tutorials, as you know, so I give them a page with any video tutorials which are interesting or useful for the topic areas we're doing. This testing area, this one I'm going to be using today with you guys. These are hack my password exercises. These are absolutely fantastic. If this video doesn't go on too long, I'm going to go into a little bit about this because these are fantastic exercises because they really, really do engage the students and they can take control of their own learning without you having to do anything at all, apart from just prepare the questions. Okay, I've got here things like practical components. I do a lot of practical work as well in the computer labs with them. So things on Word, things that they're going to be doing, Access, web design. I've got a sub or a section group now within the section group practical components. You can see it here. This is for preparation of the MOS exams for the Excel. These are just 3 of the modules, and you can see each module is a different section in that section group, and they're able to see all the resources, the lesson, tried exercises, and for each lesson they've got files they can download to practice the tried exercises. So this is I think a pretty good setup for your content library to give your students everything they need. So how do we create section groups and sections? So first thing is you're going to choose one of the main areas that you want to create your section group. So let's say I want to create a new section group in the content library. Then I can right click, or I could click on the content library, and you can see testing is actually selected. You can't actually just select that main tree area here, content library. So if I choose a section which is in the area I want to make my section group or my section, then I right click, I can do here new section group, and it's going to put it under the same hierarchy of that tree. You can see it's added this section group in content library. Okay, now if it put it in the wrong place, let's say if I drag this section group now and I put it inside the Houston we have a problem area, you can see the new section group is part of this section group here. So you can move section groups and sections and pages very easily from this navigation area. This is why I love this left-hand side navigation area so much. It's so easy to manage your notebooks. So I'm just going to drag this out now, and I'm going to put this in the content library here, and that's going to put it in the outside area. So it's in the main part of the content library. You could also see it as a tab here. Okay, now if I want to create a page here, I can just click on add page, and there you go. As soon as you click on page, it creates a section for you. This is because a page has to exist inside a section. It cannot sit inside a section group. And if I want to create another section, I can either click on the plus sign here. That will make section 2. We can see it's now extended in the tree here. Or I can right click on my section group and choose new section or a new section group. So essentially pages, we can just click on add page. And that's just so easy to do. If I click here and just add another page, I've got another page, and I can just start type my title and enter my material, which is the next thing that we're going to have a look at. How do we add content to a page? So I'm going to delete this section group now. I'm going to do section by section first. So if I right click on this section, new section 2, I can delete it, or I can do that from here. Right click, delete, yes, that section's gone. If I want to delete the entire section group, exactly the same thing. I can either rename it or I can delete it. And the same with renaming sections. If you right click, you can rename them. So I'm going to right click and delete the section group. Okay, next step, I'm going to open up this testing section I've got here. And I've got some different pages here. So the first one is all about setting up a new page and doing like a translate and adding text and pictures. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new page. And I always suggest whenever you're making a new page, give it an appropriate title. Let's say this is going to be new OneNote page. Now, you can very easily click and type anywhere you want. So double click, it will open up a text box and you can type anywhere you want. So I'll just undo that there. I'm just going to add some text here. We can copy paste text from absolutely anywhere, whether it's from a Word document or from the internet. We can just copy paste the information in. We can also right click, copy images and paste those in. We can take a screenshot, for example, using the snipping tool. If I just take away no delay, and I'm just going to take a screenshot of this area here, and I can just minimize that and simply paste here. That's going to put my screenshot there. Now, notice it's added the image inside this container box with my text. So my image is going to move around according to my text. If I want my image to be totally independent from the text, I'm just going to undo and undo. Keep undoing. There you go. I'm going to click somewhere away so it doesn't select this container box. Say here. I'm going to press Ctrl V now to paste, and now this image is independent of that text. I can right click, change the order and send it backward, for example, and now it's behind the text. Okay, so that's one thing to know. The other thing that we can do also, if we want something fixed, and usually when we're typing and we're adding new objects in, sometimes one object will affect another object, especially when we're inking, you can right click on the image and simply say set pictures background. Now this image cannot be selected, you cannot edit it, you can't move it around. Doesn't matter what you do, whether you're inking or not, you're not able to move that image. If you do want to unlock it from the background, simply right click and then you can just say remove the tick for set pictures as background. This is really good when you're giving exercises to students, worksheets, and you printed them on that page, you want them to ink on it. Well, sometimes they move that page all over the place and the inking doesn't match with the background. So if you lock the background as a picture or the picture as a background, then they can write on it without fear of moving that page around. Okay, the next thing we're going to have a look at is text and translate. So we've added text, we've added pictures. I want to show you this as well. So if I select a word, and you've got in here, obviously, you've got Immersive Reader, you can choose translate, and when you click on translate, you can choose the basically the language you're going to translate to and from. So you're doing from auto detect, and it's going to automatically detect the text that you've selected, and I've chosen here Greek. So from the whole list of languages that you've got, it's, you've got a whole load of languages here. You choose the language you want, and it'll be so anything that I select now, it's going to select that word and simply translate it there. I can actually also translate the entire page. So it's going to go from auto detect to, and I will click here and choose Greek. My page is kind of zoomed in, so it's easier for you to see. So I don't see too much of a menu there, but you can click on translate there, and there you go. It's translated all of that text now from English to Greek. I'm going to click on OK, and I'll do that. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to show you how you can get, actually, I'm going to show you how we can get text from images as well in a second. I want you to notice my background here. So my background is yellowish. I hate it when people just use a simple white background. If you put no color, it's a white background. This is so students with dyslexia and usually other students that have got other learning difficulties or reading difficulties, white background, black writing really doesn't help, especially dyslexic people. I'm dyslexic, so I know. So black on white pages is really rough to read. Try and use a softer tone color page at the back. Probably teach your students to do this as well if they do have some kind of learning difficulty. It just makes it so much easier, and it makes it easier to focus on the line that you're reading on instead of reading the different lines by, because with dyslexia, you start reading one line, you end up reading 3 lines down. So this really does help. And also another trick you can tell your students is if they are dyslexic and they do have a hard time remembering things, use colored pages for different things. So things that are really important, use like a more red background, for example, like this one. And things which are not as important, I don't like using not important, but let's say less important to remember by heart. You can do like green, and that way they can make the link of the color of the page and the content of that page, and it will help them remember things. So nice little tricks there. If you are going to use inking, a good idea will be to add rule lines, especially for me, and I like using the thick rule lines. This will help you stay on a straight line when you're writing. Now, unless I've got lines, there's no way I can stay on straight lines. So I always put the lines if I'm going to write. And then when I finished, I just put no line. And it looks like I'm really good at inking. How cool is that? Okay, so these are different things you can do on a page. Let's go have a look at some other things as well. Question paper, drag and drop. Now, here I've got some a PDF file which we can download by right-clicking Save As, and it's also been printed. I'm going to do the same thing and show you how to do this on a new page. So I'm just going to put this here, question paper. Let's get rid of the caps lock. And I should have here somewhere, there you go. I've got a folder here with a PDF. Now, one way to add your existing data, and this is really key. Many times teachers are asked to use new technology, but the problem is new technology means recreating all of our material again. That's not a good thing. We've got enough work to do and enough things to mark. So being able to use our existing resources to create new, more interactive, accessible resources is fantastic. So here's how we can do this. Say, for example, a PDF, a Word document, a PowerPoint, or anything like that. You can simply click, drag it in, and it's going to ask you whether you want to attach the file. Let's do that. Attach it. Let's delete that. And I will do that again, or I can ask it to print. And what it's going to do is going to open the program associated with this file, and it's going to print it and print it directly into OneNote. So here we go. Insert printout is actually opened. There you go. And look at that. It's put the printout for me, and it's also added the attachment. If you don't want the attachment, get rid of it. So sometimes I'm going to undo that now, and I'm going to leave that as question paper. I'm going to show you another way. Now, sometimes with PDFs, depending on which program you're using to associate your opening PDF files, it might have an issue, and I've seen this a couple of times. So if you click and drag directly in and you choose insert printout and it's not working, then the easiest way to resolve this is open the program that you're using. Here's my one. And what you can do now is simply print. If I go to print, now if you've got OneNote application installed, it's automatically installed the OneNote printer driver for you. So here it is here, OneNote, select that, and I'm just going to print to that print driver. It's now going to open up a window. Here it is here, and it's going to ask me which OneNote and which section and page do you want to add this printout. So here's my notebook. Here are all my notebooks. I've got my virtual class notebook open here. I want to go to the content library. I'm going to my testing page, section here. Here's my question paper down here. I'm going to click on OK, and voila, already added. The only difference is it doesn't add the attachment. If I did want to add the file, then I can simply just open this. I'm going to, let's drag this over here so I can actually see an area where I'm going to drag this. I can just click on that and just drag it in the white area there, attach the file, and there it is. I can move that wherever I want. So now I've done basically exactly the same thing. Okay, so really super easy to add existing resources. Now, remember I said you could put a picture in the background, or you can put papers like this in the background. But if you select all of them, you can add all of them in the background. So let's have a look how I can do this. So right now, if I start writing, if I click here and move this around, so let's say I distribute this to the students, they might move this page accidentally, like I've done here. Okay, so if I undo that, so if I don't want them to move the pages, then I'm just going to zoom out. And I'm going to scroll down, hold the shift to select all of these pages. Okay, so with all of them selected, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say set picture as background. Now what that's done, if I zoom back in again, it's added all of these pages in the background. They're not clickable. You can't select them. You can't move them, any of them. So this allows the student, when you distribute it to their section, very easily to be writing their answers on the lines where you want, or double clicking to be writing text to put the answers, and that page is not going to move. So if I try to move this page accidentally, it won't move. So really cool feature, multiple selections, set the picture as background and put all of them in the background. That's it. Now, if I undo the background, right click, and I remove that tick, that one, it removes all of them. So it's not just the one, it's all of them. So when you're going to do this, you can't do one page, set its background, and then do the next one, because you have to do all of them at the same time. Okay, let's have a look at the immersive reader and copying text from images. Here's an image, it's just a picture. There's no text in here. It's a screenshot from the internet, and all I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to right click on this page, and I'm going to say copy text from picture. And what this is going to do is going to use its artificial intelligence engine in the background, use OCR, optical character recognition, right click, paste. Actually, I'll just do Control V because it doesn't like right click paste. Control V, and look at that. It's gone and identified all the text in that picture and it's put it here. Now, you're going to get some mistakes in this, that, the other. For example, here it's probably from for, it's put trom. But that's so much easier than typing all of this out again. What else you can also do, so if you just want to take text from a picture, from a page, then, scan that page, put it in OneNote, just drag it in or print to it, and then right click copy text, and you've got all the text. You can put it in Word or wherever you want to use it. So I'm going to undo that. The other thing that we can do, we can also use the immersive reader directly on anything which is a picture, so it doesn't have to be text. So your immersive reader is going to be in the view ribbon. So if I go to view, and then from here, if I have a look, I've got immersive reader. I'm going to click on this now. Let me just make sure I'm getting the desktop audio here as well. Okay, so I should be recording the desktop audio also. Now, here it is. It's recognized all the text and it's got it with the background that I've got. And if I just click on play straight away.
How does GPS work? The short answer,
Now, I'm hoping the desktop audio is being picked up. I'm going to check the video later, but you can see it's actually reading it. So things that we can do, we can click on the book here and we can do one-line focus, which is fantastic, especially for students which are dyslexic. And they can do this from their area. In fact, why don't we do this from the student area? So here I am. I'm now in the student area. I'm going to go to that page. I'm going to go and open this in the browser. Actually, you can actually do it directly from Teams as well. So let's stay with Teams because we want to have all of these things as user-friendly to the students as possible. So staying in the same place is usually a good idea. So I'm going to go to, do I have that in here? Yes, let me go to my content library. And although it's a content library, they can still use it. So these are resources I've given them. Here's the English one here. I'm just going to go to Immersive Reader and it's going to open it up. And you can see here straight away, it's opened everything up. Let's just play this. It's got some tips here. Don't worry about that.
How does GPS work?
Now, that should be...
The short answer, GPS is a system OT30.
So that should have been picked up by my system audio. So let's look at some of the settings the students have. So the one thing is here, the little settings icon here, they've got the speed of which the narrator is talking. I'm going to make that a bit slower this time. Choose a female or male voice. We'll change it to male this time so you can hear the difference. You can choose the size of the writing. So this is excellent for students that may be visually impaired. And you can actually reduce it. I kind of like a size like that for students that have got difficulty reading. You've got, if it's English text, then you can mess around with the grammar as well. You can get it to highlight things like nouns and verbs. So that's really good if you're teaching them grammar. We'll leave that on as well. And you can also separate syllables. So this is excellent for students, younger students, to actually learn how to pronounce words and break words up into syllables to learn how to read. And then we've got the book here, which again gives you that single line focus that we saw before, a multi-line or 3-line focus. Let me get rid of that. All right, it's not allowing me there to go into that. Let me have a look. Okay, it's not allowing me the multi-line focus for some reason. Maybe my text is a bit too big. Let's try that. There you go. So because the text was too big, you can do the multi-line focus, and then you've also got a 5-line focus there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it with no line focus. Then you've got the picture dictionary as well, if you've got that enabled. So if you do have that enabled, by choosing something like a word, let me get rid of the syllables there. And I'm just going to click on a word, for example, receiver. Let's do calculates. Okay, so you can see here, it actually gives you a picture dictionary as well at the same time, which is absolutely fantastic. Satellite. And also, let's say they English, you're using English as a second language and they have a different first language or a native tongue. Then what they can do, they can translate into another language. So I'm just going to choose Greek here again. And whatever you choose, it will stay as default each time. And it's got by word. So if I choose one word, you can see now it's demonstrated. This is in the student section. It's showing the word so they can hear the phonetics. Listen.
Satellites.
There we go. And also it's got it in Greek as well because it's translating to Greek.
Δορυφόρους.
Wow, that's not bad. Good pronunciation there. All right. But also you can translate the entire document. So they can have a document which is in English, close that, and it will translate it entirely into Greek or any language that they choose, and then they can press play and listen to it in that language.
Πώς λειτουργεί το GPS? Η σύντομη απάντηση, το GPS είναι ένα σύστημα τριάν.
Fantastic. Immersive Reader is such a powerful tool. Please use it, or at least teach your students to use it because it's really, really going to help them. Okay, so that's Immersive Reader. I've also got the same thing here for you in Greek. So if you do have any, just go to the teacher area. So if you do have any text which is in a different language and you want them to be able to first take that text out as text, exactly the same thing as before, then you can right click, copy text and paste it here. It will, there you go. It actually recognizes the other language and then puts the text version. You can also use Immersive Reader directly, and you can also from Immersive Reader change from another language back into English. So again, clicking on this book, you can translate to, instead of Greek, you're going to go to English United Kingdom, and you can go by word. For example, this word here is operation, and again, you've got the phonetics here. Immersive Reader, fantastic. Let's move on. Right, recording audio and video. Now, recording audio and video is really, really simple, absolutely fantastic. It's a fantastic way to give feedback to students. So if they have given a piece of work to use, something that you've marked and you've graded it back, instead of writing text feedback, you can use the insert button at the top, use the record audio, and as soon as you press it, it will start recording the audio. And so I'm just going to get rid of that audio recording there. And let's say this is a piece of work. I'm going to record on this. It's already recording, and I can see that because it's got the stop and pause button here. It's recording my voice. And as soon as I click on stop, there's my recording. Now, by clicking on this, you can press the play button. It's already recording, and I can see that because it's got the stop and pause button here. It's recording my voice. And I hate listening to my voice. I know you're going to say, but you're always creating videos. You listen to your voice all the time. Right. So you can also always do the same with video as well. Now, video, most people don't like using video. They don't want to have their face recorded. But what you can do, you can tilt your camera down. Now, let's say you've got younger children and people say, well, how are younger children going to use this? Well, if you record and only show your hands, maybe you're going to do an experiment the next day. You can demonstrate with the video that experiment, put it in OneNote, put it in your diary at the beginning so that they know what you're going to be doing. Have a look at the video, maybe anything to do with safety. Maybe they're going to be doing some art. Maybe they're going to be doing something creative in class. You can actually do that little recording and just show them, demonstrate to them so they can see what they're doing next lesson and they come more prepared instead of wasting 10, 15 minutes of the lesson trying to explain what you're going to be doing. And the beautiful thing is, you keep these videos, you keep your OneNote, you can transfer the data to next year's class notebook. So fantastic way. You don't need to record your faces if you don't want to. Just record your hands doing the actions. Older students or teachers teaching or higher students, let's say doing physics or chemistry or laboratories, you can record these or record some things, some key things that they're going to be looking for, and then they've got access to that directly from their OneNote. Remember, the whole point of technology is making learning accessible. Right. Okay. Then we've got create tables and to-do lists. So if I want to create the table, there are a number of ways. I'm going to show you them now. I can easily just go to insert and create a table just like I do in Word. And there you go. I can do that. Or I could just type something. For example, as I did at the top, I'm going to type name. And as soon as I press the tab key on my keyboard, look at that. It makes the next column. Group. And as soon as I press enter, it will make the next row. I can put Negos. Oh, not Lagos. Negos. And I'm going to put, I'll say 2C. And enter the next one. So tables are really quick and really easy to make. If I want to make links, so I can make a menu like I showed you at the beginning, again, I can right click here, go to table, add a column because I want to add in afterwards. So insert column to the right. Where am I? Insert column, select, insert. Right, there we go. And I'm just going to put here links. Any section, any page or section group, if I right click on it, even here, right click, I can copy link to section. I can right click on the page, copy link. I can even do it from the navigation area here. So if I want to go to this page here, the exercise Houston, we have a problem, right click, copy link to section. And now when I go back to my testing area, Control V, and there it is. And now when students click on that, it will jump to that page immediately. So much easier than having them navigate here and there. So and can you see if I want to go to the welcome page, it's really hard to find from the top. You have to go back. But from this navigator area here, just click on welcome and here I am. And there's my navigation page here. Okay, so let's make to-do lists. So I'm going to click where I want to create my to-do list. I'm just going to double click outside of this box area here. I'm going to scroll up a bit and I'm going to go to the home ribbon up here. And then in the home ribbon, we can see the to-do button here. When I click on this, we can see it adds my first item. So I'm just going to type something, press enter, and it will automatically add the next item. And let's just do a couple more of these. Now, when I want to break out of the to-do list, so it stops putting these little checkboxes, I'm going to press enter and press enter one more time, and that will break out of the to-do list. And if I press enter again, I've got the new line and I can just carry on adding my own text. If I want to increase the indent, for example, these two items here, I want to increase their indent. What I'm going to do, I'm going to place my insertion point. Let's just zoom into this a bit. I'm going to place my insertion point right at the beginning of that text, right here, before the first letter, and press the tab key on my keyboard. And there we go. That will increase the indent. And I can do that for the next item as well. Now, if I want this one to be a subcategory, let's say, of the top one, I'm going to press the tab key again. If I want to reduce the indent, to decrease that indent, I'm going to hold down the shift button. And while I'm holding that down, I'm going to press the tab key, and that's going to take it one back. Don't make the mistake of simply clicking at the end of the text and pressing the tab key, because as we saw before, that will generate the table. Now, here I've got password protect section. Now, I said I'm going to show you very quickly how you can create a hack my password. This is something I created a couple of years ago. It's a massive, massive hit. Worldwide, I've taught this. People have downloaded the tutorial on creating this. It's a fantastic method to engage students and really get them to take control of their learning and learn so much without you intervening at all. So and one of the key elements is to be able to put a password on a section. Now, password protect a section. You cannot password protect a page. So if I wanted to put a password, then I can lock any one of these sections. I can't lock a section group, but I can only lock a section. So if you look here, this is the section group on the left-hand side. Houston, we have a problem. So what I've got here is the first section, which has a whole load of questions. It has an explanation of their quest, what it is that they're going to have to do. Okay, and the idea is they're going to answer these questions here. Now, you're going to say, this sounds like an escape room. No, I did escape rooms. This is a modified escape room with many, many more benefits. The benefits are that they can answer each question at any time. They don't have to complete room 1 to go to room 2 to go to room 3. So if someone gets stuck on room 1, they can go try the next rooms. And this is really fantastic to be a little bit more inclusive, because if you've got weaker students and they get stuck on room 2 and everyone else is on room 5, they get discouraged, they give up. But now they don't have to. They can just move on to any room. So someone might be on room 6. It doesn't mean that they've solved all 6. However, all the answers of each room must be placed in the correct order. Key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Put the answers together. That will be the password to unlock this section here. So when they click on it, they need that password. So to add the password, all we have to do to a section is simply, so I'm going to do this for this one here, the Houston, we have a problem. So this one's already got a password. I'm going to put a password here. I can either right click on the tab or right click in the left hand side, the Explorer version here. But if you right click, you're going to put password protect this section. Give it the password, set password. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Click OK. And now I'm just going to say lock all. This section is now password protected, and without the password, it won't work. Let's jump to the student area. So I'm just going to right click and tell it sync this notebook now to make sure it syncs over to the student area. And now we're going to go to the student area. So we had this Houston, we had the problem. Here it is here. Now, this one was already password protected. This is the one where they have to write their answer after answering the 6 questions. And only if they've answered everything correctly, only if they've read the questions carefully, the instructions, and got everything in the right order, will this unlock. And that's a beautiful thing about this, because they have to, if it doesn't unlock, they don't know which question was wrong. They have to recheck all their answers, reread all the questions, double check everything, and that's where deep learning happens. So, but we also password protected this section as well just now. There it is. And if I click on it, what's a password? We put 1, 2, 3, 4. If I click on that, there it is. Okay, so it's unlocked this page for them now. All right, so this is the beautiful thing about password protection. You can use it. Just give this a bit of time for it to load the picture. There it is. And this is the beautiful thing about password protection sections. You can make it a game. Now, if you do want to do an escape room, then you will do a series of sections. And that's the other bad thing about this, because you have to essentially go and create a section group with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections, and each one's protected. And each one, the password of the previous one is the key for the next one. Makes it a little bit more clunky. Whereas this, you have all your questions as pages. Let me just unlock this. So if I want to remove the password, I'm going to add the password. And now I can say remove password from here. So if I didn't have this open, then I can just right click on this now and go to the password protection and remove password. It's going to ask me to enter the password 1, 2, 3, 4 and click OK. Right, so the next thing is this one here. When you actually install the OneNote application, you may not get the class notebook section at the top, this ribbon at the top, and probably you won't. This is an add-in. Now, I have found by going and finding the add-in for class notebook, sometimes it doesn't work. You need the MSI file. So let me just get that for you, and I'll just show you what it looks like. Right, so I'm going to put this in the links in the description, so you can download this MSI file. And this MSI file, when you double click on it, automatically it will add this class notebook section for you here. And now this will allow us to do things like distribute pages and sections to our students. It will allow us to review student work easily. So let's look at this section now, the class notebook. So from here, I can, if I created a new page, let's say, I'm just going to create a page here, question paper. Oh, so let's say this question paper here with the capital letters that I put. I'm going to get rid of that attachment and the one I've got at the bottom here. Okay. And what I'm going to do next is I want to distribute this in the homework section for all the students. So that will be here. So for all the students in their homework section, I want that question paper to be there so that they can work on it. Now, there's two ways of doing this. The best way is through Teams. We'll see that, but you can also do it from Class Notebook. So to do this, I'm going to go from here, select the paper that I want to distribute. Then from the Class Notebook ribbon, I'm going to go to Distribute Page. It's going to use the page that is selected and open currently. I'm going to tell it in which area to add, which section to add this in the students area. So why don't we make us distribute a section first to the students? Let's do that first. So I can distribute a section or a section group. I'm going to do a section only. There's no point doing a group. It's the same thing. Distribute a new section. I'm going to call it sample homework. Okay, and you've got more options here if you want. Location, this, don't worry about that. Leave that as default and click create. Now, what this has done, if I now look here in my students, it's added this sample homework. You see that? There it is there, and there it is there. Okay, for all the students. They all have this new section now. Now, what I want to do inside that section, I want to put this question paper. So selecting this paper, I'm going to go distribute page, and you can now see this new section which I made. So I'm going to click on that section, and that's it. This page now has been distributed. So if I put all of these pages as backgrounds, which I didn't, so they can't move it around, then they won't be able to move these question papers around, which is absolutely awesome, because you're not going to expect the students to select all these pages, right click and say set as background. So now if we look in the sample homework of student number 1, there's my question paper, okay, with the little scribbles and text that I put in there. But I didn't put the question paper as a background, all these pages, which is something I should have done. And I should have also changed the color of the background of the page as well. Doesn't make so much sense when you're printing a PDF because the PDF is going to be white anyway. Okay, so that's distribute. Now, how do we mark work? It's really hard to be going to student by student, finding the section and then clicking on the file, marking it, and then right clicking and locking that page so I can lock this page so they can't edit it. That's just too much work. Again, what we're going to do, we're going to use the class notebook. We're going to go to review work. I'm going to be reviewing work that's in this section here, samples homework. And here I've got in that sample homework, everybody's got an untitled page in the question. I want the question paper, and here are my students. So I can open the work for student 5. Let's just bring that over here. Okay. I can open for student 1. This is student 1's homework. I can open for student 2 and just keep going and just mark all of these. So let's say I'm marking number 5. I'm going to say, I don't know, let's say that's a B- for whatever reason. Student 1 is an A. And student 2, I don't know, let's say that's going to be a C+. Okay, and just write any comments I want, or even add a recording or a video. That's up to me. When I'm finished marking, I'm just going to click on that, lock the pages. It's going to give me a little warning message, click OK, and that's it. These pages are locked. So now if I sync these, hopefully it's passed over to the other side, sync my notebook. Now it does sync on its own automatically. You don't have to sync all the time, but just to save time right now, I'm forcing it to sync. So let's go over here. I'm going to go to my student area here. So where am I? Over here, go to the library. I'm going to go to this one here. There's my sample homework folder. Can you see that there? There it is there. And if I open up my question paper, look, I've got my grade. It's been marked. But more importantly, I can't go and change that or delete it or write anything on it to say that I got an A+. Not that I think the student will care so much about getting an A or an A+. They got an A. That's perfect. Okay, so that's the class notebook area. As I said, the MSI file I'm going to put in the description so you can download it. So if you do install the OneNote application, you don't have the class notebook at the top. Up here in the ribbon, you're able to install it very quickly. Okay, what have I got left doing? So let's do the same thing again, but this time from Teams. Now, I do suggest you do all of this from Teams, not from directly Notebook. So I'm going to open up Teams. Now, this is my virtual class team. This is my general. And what I'm going to do, if I want to distribute a new page to my students and put it in the assignment, so they don't even have to open OneNote. So here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to create another paper here. So I'm going to go in my content library, go to my test area here, and I'm going to add a new paper. This is Teams, where am I? Teams distribute homework. Okay, and this time, just so we can see this, that it's different, I'm just going to go to my view, change the color background to a yellow one. I'm going to drag that same file in here very quickly. Here it is. Let's just drag that in there, print that off, insert printout. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that file. I don't need them to be able to download it. I'm going to press Control A so it selects all of the pages, and I'm going to right click, set pictures background. So I've set up this Teams distribute homework from here. I can also do it from my Teams class notebook. But how do I issue this as homework in Teams assignment? So I'm going to open up Teams. For this team now, I'm going to go to my assignments. Now, I'm not going to go in too deep into assignments because that's a different tutorial entirely. I'm going to create a new assignment. If I've got an existing assignment, so if I've done this already for one group and I want to do it for another team as well, issue the same assignment, I don't have to create the whole thing again, just use from existing. So I'm going to go to assignment and I'm going to say homework on, I don't know, space. Okay, that's the title of this assignment. Enter the instructions, and here it says attach, I'm going to attach class notebook. Now, since the class notebook was created using this class team, as soon as I click on this, it's going to open this class team and the sections which I have: collaboration, content, and teacher only. So, and the welcome section. So your page has to be inside one of these sections. It's not going to be inside the student section. I'm going to go to content library. From here, I've got my testing, Teams distribute homework. Here it is here. So select that and click on attach. So what this is doing is getting that link. I haven't distributed this to the students, have I? I haven't done that from class notebook, but I'm going to do it here. So if I want to assign this page so that they can only see it, let's say this was a OneNote page just for them to read, not to answer anything on, I can click this and it will not give a copy of this file to the students in the student areas. But if I don't tick this, I can now say put this in their homework section and then click on done. And as soon as I do that in their homework section, it's going to add this copy directly there. So if I do that now, done. Okay, and it says here students edit their own copy. If I don't want that, then I can remove this and just put that tick so it's only for them to read. It might be just an informative page in OneNote. Give it the deadline, so on and so forth, and then click on assign. So what this is going to do now, it's assigned the homework, but it's also distributed the page in their class notebook. Let's go have a look. Now, again, it might not be that fast, but let's see. If I go to my homework, let's see, it's just assigned. I've just got the message now, the assignment. So I'm just going to get this to really quickly sync. Sync now. And let's see if I start seeing this pop up in people's home. Oh, there it is. It just popped up while we were waiting. So here it is. Teams distribute homework. And you're going to say, well, students still have to go to Notebook to do this. No, they don't. What they can do, let's jump to the student area. So this is the student area. This is the students. They're going to go to their assignments for this team. And it says here, oh, look, I've got homework on space. I can just simply open it from here. And as a student, it's opened my personal version of this homework from my homework section. And as a student, I can now start editing this, adding my question, my inking, whatever it is that you're going to do. And you can see they can't move. It's been put in the background, so they can't accidentally move these pages. And that's just absolutely awesome. They can tick the ones that they think is correct. Okay. And so on and so forth. And that's it. Now, if they haven't finished this, that's fine. they can just close this and it's saved in their area. In fact, if I was to go to the class notebook, let's see if I just mess up these pages. This is student one. So if I go to student one, right now, I can actually see in their homework, let's see if it's actually updated it yet. So let me just do another quick sync this notebook now. There we go. You see, this is student one. And if I was to go to the review tab, so if I go to class notebook, review student work, I want homework, because I put it in the homework. Here's the distribute homework. So if I see student 5 hasn't done anything yet for this homework. Okay, well, the deadline's not up yet, so that's fine. Student 1 has. So I can have a quick look at this, but the student hasn't submitted. So what the student could do now, the next day when they've got a bit more time to finish their homework, they can go back to the assignment, click on Teams, and just continue doing this paper without any issues at all and answering their questions. Okay, so the beautiful thing about this is they don't need to worry about saving or doing anything or in which page in OneNote is the homework. They just go to Teams assignment and the OneNote page is there. And whatever they do is stored automatically. And even if they don't submit their work to hand it in yet, then they can just close Teams, come back to it at a later date and just continue their work. And then when they're finished, of course, when they close this, they can just turn their homework in. Now, if the homework if the deadline has expired and if the deadline hasn't expired and they turn in, then they can undo the turn in and then just modify it again. So this is really good if the teachers are going to give some feedback on some work and just give the students some chance to act on that feedback. If you close the assignment, mark it, give them the grade, and you don't give them the time to act on it, they're not going to act on it. So I normally give my homework deadlines to be like 2-3 days before the actual deadline, which I want. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you is how we can share a notebook. You say, well, what do you mean by sharing a notebook? Well, we can generate a link which we can share with other people so they can actually access the notebook, even if they're not members of this notebook. But keep in mind that if it's a class notebook, you can only share it with people that have a company email account. That basically means they have to sign in with the domain account, which is the same as the school's. If it's not a class notebook, then you can actually generate a link so that anybody can access the notebook without signing into any account. And that's really, really, really useful, especially if you're creating Hack My Passwords for giving, let's say you want to do, let's say, a Hack My Password or an exercise. You just want to give it to students to access and you don't expect them to sign in with their account because they're young students. Then it's a fantastic way just to share that notebook. So here, this is a class notebook that I've got here. So when I go to here where it says share, now keep in mind you can do this from the OneNote application, but you could also do this from the online version as well. It really does make a difference. This is the same one. You get the share button here, and then you've got here share entire notebook. And as soon as you click on this, you can see here where it says people in the junior senior school, because only people within this company are able to get this share link. I can't edit this. If I try to edit this, I don't have the option anyone with the link. So what I can do now, so let's just do that with this version as well from the OneNote application. I'm going to click on share entire notebook, and slightly different interface, but same thing. Again, you can do the can edit, can view, but only people in your organization are able, you can only generate links for people in your organization. So that's the only way if it's a class notebook. If it's not a class notebook, you actually, if I scroll down here, I've got a list, a notebook with my Hack My Passwords in this, so I actually collect them. And if I just select this one, and now I go to the share, because this is not a class notebook, it doesn't contain students in there, I can actually choose anyone with the link can edit. So I'm just going to use this one. I'm going to use that. I'm going to change it from can edit to can view. I'm going to click on apply. Of course, you can apply a password like you would any other file that you would share. I'm just going to click on apply here and copy that link. So here's my link. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go to, here's my browser. I'm going to go to a private incognito window. Okay, there we go. So there's no account linked with this browser window here. I'm just going to go Control V. There's my link. And now without having to sign in at all, I'm able to learn from this exercise. Let's try this, Houston, we have a problem. So here are the questions, the keys, 6 keys, the quest, and this is the emergency exit, and this is password protected. They have to click on this and put the password. So you can do these exercises, share them with people without them having to log in. The password protection will work whether they sign in or not, and only if they have the correct answer are they able to actually open this section and say that they've hacked my password. In fact, there are instructions in this page once they've done that. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I know it's been a bit long, but I wanted to try and cover as much as possible for anyone who's just starting now or thinking about using a OneNote Class Notebook or using OneNotes. I think this is a pretty complete tutorial. By no means is it complete in the sense that I've covered absolutely everything, but I think it's a really, really good foundation, some really useful tips. And if you've liked these tips, if you've learned something new, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.